Hey, what is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video. My sports Gematria. I made a post on my Patreon today, seeing if anybody had any requests for Tuesday, February 23rd, between college basketball and or NBA. And I had a couple requests. I'm not going to show the comments just in case they want to keep their privacy for whatever reason. But they requested St. Louis and VCU, Illinois versus Michigan State. One of the guys said Penn State versus Purdue, but that wasn't a matchup, so I just went ahead and did Penn State versus Nebraska. And then Kansas versus Texas. So let's go ahead and start with these. And I have my daily numbers this side: Gregorian, Hebrew, game numbers, away team up top, head to head in the middle, home team at the bottom. So let's start with the first game: St. Louis versus VCU. This is their 15th head to head game between the two teams. If we spell out the word 15, sums to 124. St. Louis with the win could become 12-4 for a season record, like 124 in the 15th head to head matchup. And VCU, their coach, would sit on 124 wins with a loss today. VCU coach, he would get his 94th loss as VCU becomes 9-4 for a conference record with a loss. So those are what stuck out to me instantly. But with that being said, there is a 66 date numerology on the Gregorian. 66 sums to 149. It's St. Louis coach's 149th game as a coach for St. Louis. The number 66 is the 11th triangular number. And St. Louis could just sit on 11 wins for the season with the loss today, as VCU gets their 11th head-to-head win against St. Louis. VCU would also get their 10th conference win for the season as they become 1-0, like 10 head-to-head against St. Louis. The thing about the number 61 also is 61 not only sums to 149, but it also sums to 41. And the VCU coach would sit on 41 losses as a coach for VCU with a win. Although, if we were going to go ahead and just give it to... Actually, one more thing, too, for St. Louis, their coach, he can get his 289th loss. 289 has a square root of 17. And VCU is looking for their 17th win for the season. And so those can coincide and hit. Oh, as I was going to say, this is St. Louis's 16th game for the season as well. And if they win, they could become 5-3 for a conference record like 53, the 16th prime number. And VCU would sit on 16 wins for the season. And then they would go ahead and get their 6th loss in their 13th conference game. 13 is the 6th prime number. On the flip side, we could just be looking at St. Louis going 4-4 for a conference record with the loss, as VCU sits on 4 head-to-head losses against St. Louis as they pick up that 11. The thing about the number 11, 66 is the 11th triangular number. 11 is the 5th prime number. And VCU can sit on 5 losses for the season with the win, as St. Louis gets their 5th loss for the season, while they sit on 11 wins for the season. So hopefully this helps you guys win this game. Let's kind of see what both sides look like. Also want to bring it back to the 10 here. If VCU gets their 10th win and they become 1-0 head-to-head against St. Louis for the season, you can make the argument as well that VCU could sit on that 10 here head-to-head as St. Louis becomes 1-0 head-to-head against VCU for the season with the win. So you have two different ways to play with that number 10. All right, Illinois versus Michigan State. Always double check the seeding numbers before game time because they will change. But Illinois has some interesting numbers going against them. And Michigan State could get the upset or maybe not. But Michigan State, if they were going to upset Illinois, it'll be because today is a day leaving 311 left on the Gregorian civil calendar. 311 mathematically is the 64th prime number. Michigan State would get the 64th head-to-head win against Illinois. It's the 124th head-to-head matchup between these two teams, and Illinois would become 12-4 for a conference record with a loss. Pretty compelling stuff there. This is Michigan State's 15th conference game for this season, and we just talked about how 15 sums to 124. So pretty compelling numbers going against Illinois there. However, the same numbers could be in favor of Illinois, the 311, the 64th prime number. Today is the 54th day, a day leaving 311 left, the 64th prime. Illinois' coach, if they win this game, would become 64-54 for a record as a coach for Illinois. So that would be the Gregorian date right there, the 54th day, 311 left, which is the 64th prime. It'll be 64-54. Michigan State coach, he would get his 251st loss, which is the 54th prime number. It is February 23rd, 2/23, 2/23, which is the 48th prime number. If you type in 48, it sums to 133. And Illinois can become 13-3 for a conference record with a win. Michigan State would get their 10th loss for the season, as they get their 10th conference loss for the season, as Illinois becomes 1-0 head-to-head against Michigan State like 10. So you have some pretty compelling numbers in favor of Michigan State. The 124, the 64, 124, 15th conference. And at the same time, though, 64-54 for the Illinois coach, 251, the 54th prime for the Michigan State coach. That's compelling. Illinois can become 13-3. That's interesting. Not too compelling, but it is interesting. Illinois' coach could get his 173rd win too as well. 173 is the 40th prime number, and the number 40 sums to 30. Today with 30, date numerology on the Gregorian. So it could be couple little things in favor of Illinois, or it could be a couple of big things in favor of Michigan State. It's compelling. It's hard to grasp it, but that could play an effect. It's there, plain of sight, and you get that 24, or that 64, excuse me. But I wouldn't look past this 64-54 up here just yet as well, or the 251 for the coach. Be careful on that one. Penn State, Nebraska. So he talked about 66 being the 11th triangular number in another game. Nebraska, with the win, can become 11-11 head-to-head against Penn State. It's the 22nd head-to-head game. It's the second head-to-head game for the season. 22-2. Nebraska can finally get their second conference win for this season to go along with the second head-to-head and the 22 head-to-head. Nebraska could sweep Penn State 2-0, like 20 for the season with the win. This is Penn State's 20th game for the season. Although we do have a 30 date numerology on the Gregorian as well. And if Nebraska loses, they would become 1-13 for a conference record with the loss. 113 or 113 is the 30th prime number. And this is Penn State's 16th conference game. Nebraska could get their 16th loss for the season. And this is their coach's 53rd game as a coach for Nebraska. 53 is the 16th prime number. Penn State could sit on 12 losses for the season as they get their 12th head-to-head win against Nebraska, as Nebraska coach sits on that 12 wins for a coach as Nebraska in that 53rd game, the 16th prime. I didn't see anything jump out at me with the Penn State coach, either or. But the two's compelling. Nebraska could get that two, that second conference, and the second head-to-head, the 22nd head-to-head. Penn State 20th game, they could just, Nebraska can go ahead and sweep Penn State 2-0. But Nebraska's vulnerable to the 53rd game for the coach, the 16th prime. They can get their 16th loss for the season. And then you have this 113, like 113, the 30th prime, 30 date numerology. So they're vulnerable to that. And then last game, Kansas versus Texas. Again, before game time, check the ranking, because right now Texas is 14, Kansas is 17. And the reason why I say that is because Texas, as a 14 seed, could get their 14th win for the season, as their coach gets his 104th win as a coach for Texas. Today does have 104 date numerology on the Hebrew religious, and the number 14 sums to 104. So double check to see Texas if they're still the 14 seed by the time this game starts, because that could potentially be in their favor. And at the same time, if Kansas is still the 17 seed, it's their 17th conference game, and they could just go ahead and sit on 17 wins for the season. So this is what it could be setting it up for, potentially, with the 17 seed versus the 14 seed. It'd play in both of their records, so keep an eye on that to see if it changes or not. Also, to keep it going, it is the Texas 20th game of the season, and they too can go ahead and sweep Kansas 2-0 head-to-head against for the season, like 20. Today does have 46 date numerology as well as 66 date numerology. 66 is the 11th triangular number, and it also sums to 149, the 35th prime number. And Texas can become 11-35 head-to-head against Kansas with a win. 46 game, 11-35. Also, 30 date numerology on the Gregorian. 30 sums to 35. They can sit on that 35. So that 35 is at play a little bit there. And it is the 11th day of the 6th month on the Hebrew Civil. And Kansas can become 11-6 for a conference record with the loss, like 116. Now, if we're going to favor Kansas in this game to win, it would be with the 116 as well here. Kansas coach, instead of them becoming 11-6 for a conference record, he can go ahead and just sit on 116 losses as a coach for Kansas with the win on the 11th day of the 6th month for the Hebrew. Kansas would get their 18th win for the season. 18 sums to 46. Today with 46 date numerology on the Gregorian, this being the 46 head-to-head matchup between these two teams. Texas, if they lose, they would become 13-7 for a season record, like 137, the 30th, or the 33rd prime number. I was going to say the 30th, but 137 is the 33rd prime number, and 33 sums to 66, and it sums to 141. Today, with 66 date numerology on the Gregorian, Texas coach can get his 141st loss for his career as they become 13-7, the 33rd prime. Also, with it being February 23rd, 2/23, the 48th prime number, 48 sums to 137. So there's some pretty good numbers here for Texas. Like I said, watch the seeding, the 14 and the 17. That might be the trick there. I mean, they got that 20 here, 20th game. They can go ahead and sweep 2-0. 11-35, 14 sums to 104. The coach gets his 104th. Kansas becomes 11-6 for a conference record. But then that 11-6 is also here in favor for Kansas if the coach sits on that. And they can go ahead and just get their 18th win for the season. 18 sums to 46. 46 head-to-head match. 46 to 8 numerology. And then the 137 connections for 33, 141. This one seems like a tough one as well. Definitely take your time on it. Don't rush to judgment. Definitely take your time and just consider all options here. Same with these. Consider all options. Penn State, Nebraska, Illinois, Michigan. Especially this one, 124, 124. I mean, that could be it for Illinois right there. But sneaky, sneaky. Illinois coach can still be 64-54. And Michigan State coach would get his 251st loss, the 54th prime. 54th day, 311, 64th prime. So, sneaky, sneaky. Could be either way. St. Louis, VCU. I like this 124 here, 15th head-to-head, 124, 124. He would become 124-94 as they become 9-4. That seems pretty solid. But, you just don't know with some of these off numbers, like the 10s here. They can become 1-0. The 5, talked about the 5, how 11, they can get their 11th head-to-head win. St. Louis can sit on 11, and 11 is the 5th prime. They can sit on 5. But then you got that 16, 5 and 3, the 16th prime number, 53, the 16th prime number. So hopefully this helps you guys. My picks will be in writing as always. Writing, underlined, and italicized. And thanks for the requests. Enjoyed them. So hopefully you guys got some value out of this, and hopefully you enjoyed it too.